Aesop's Fable EP18, The Wise Deer and the Lesson Learned. Scene 1, The Careless Mistake. In a beautiful, sprawling forest, where the trees stretched high and the grass was always green, lived a young deer named Daisy. Daisy was known for her adventurous spirit and her curiosity about the world around her. One sunny afternoon, while exploring a part of the forest she had never been to before, Daisy came across a meadow filled with the most delicious-looking flowers. Without thinking twice, she trotted into the meadow and began to eat the flowers, savoring their sweet taste. However, Daisy was so focused on enjoying the flowers that she didn't notice the soft, marshy ground beneath her hooves. Suddenly, she found herself sinking into a bog. The more she struggled, the deeper she sank. Panic set in as she realized her mistake. She had ventured into the meadow without checking her surroundings. Luckily, a passing rabbit named Ruby saw Daisy struggling and quickly called for help. With the assistance of a few forest friends, Daisy was pulled to safety. Exhausted and embarrassed, Daisy thanked her friends, but she couldn't shake the feeling of regret. She knew she had made a careless mistake by not paying attention to her surroundings. Scene 2, The Lesson Learned. The experience in the bog left a lasting impression on Daisy. She realized that her carelessness could have cost her dearly. Determined to never let something like that happen again, Daisy began to think more carefully about her actions. She started to pay closer attention to her surroundings and learned to be more cautious when exploring new areas. A few days later, Daisy was out exploring again, this time with Ruby the rabbit by her side. As they walked through the forest, they came across another beautiful meadow, similar to the one where Daisy had gotten stuck. This time, however, Daisy stopped at the edge of the meadow and examined the ground carefully. "I remember what happened last time," Daisy said to Ruby. "I'm not going to make the same mistake again. Let's check the ground before we go any further." Ruby nodded in agreement, and together they tested the ground, finding it firm and safe. Daisy led the way into the meadow, feeling proud that she had learned from her previous mistake. Scene 3, A New Challenge. As the seasons changed, the forest became more challenging to navigate. The once familiar paths were now covered in fallen leaves, and the rivers had swollen from the autumn rains. One afternoon, Daisy and Ruby decided to visit a nearby clearing that was known for its tall, majestic trees. However, to reach the clearing, they had to cross a fast-flowing stream. Daisy, remembering the lesson she had learned, approached the stream cautiously. She noticed that the rocks in the stream were slippery and unstable. "We need to be careful," Daisy said to Ruby. "The rocks are wet, and it's easy to slip. Let's find a safer way to cross." Ruby, who had always admired Daisy's adventurous spirit, agreed. They walked along the edge of the stream until they found a spot where the water was shallow and the rocks were steady. Carefully, they crossed the stream without any trouble. As they reached the other side, Ruby looked at Daisy with admiration. "You've become so wise, Daisy," she said. "You think before you act, and you're careful to avoid the mistakes you made in the past." Daisy smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "I've learned that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as we learn from them and do better next time." Scene 4, The Respect Earned. News of Daisy's newfound wisdom spread through the forest. The other animals began to seek her advice whenever they faced difficult situations. Daisy, who had once been known for her carelessness, was now respected for her ability to learn from her mistakes and make thoughtful decisions. One day, a young fawn approached Daisy, looking worried. "Daisy, I made a mistake," the fawn said, "and now I'm scared to try again. What should I do?" Daisy looked at the fawn with kindness and said, "We all make mistakes, but it's important not to be afraid of them. Mistakes are how we learn and grow. The key is to understand what went wrong and to try again with more knowledge and care." The fawn nodded, feeling encouraged by Daisy's words. With renewed confidence, the fawn set out to try again, determined not to repeat the same mistake. As Daisy watched the fawn go, she realized how far she had come since her own careless mistake in the bog. She understood that mistakes were not something to be ashamed of, but rather opportunities to become wiser and stronger. From that day on, Daisy continued to explore the forest, always mindful of the lessons she had learned. And because of her willingness to learn from her mistakes, Daisy earned the respect and admiration of all the animals in the forest, who saw her as a true example of wisdom and courage. Moral of the story: mistakes are a natural part of life, but what matters most is learning from them and making better choices in the future. By doing so, we grow wiser and stronger.